And welcome back on the Rice Unfiltered podcast. I am voice of your Rice Owls, JP Heath. Stay tuned. Coming up in a little bit, we'll have soccer coach Brian Lee. Remember that you can get the Owls Rice Unfiltered podcast anywhere you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, and we're also on YouTube. We've been very pleased with how the traction's going, and obviously because a lot of this guy right here, Scott Abell, being our guest here during the football season primarily. How you doing?
I'm doing, tough weekend for us, right? But, we're resilient, and, you got to flip the page. Just like I told the guys, after Louisiana win, right, you got to move on really quick in this business, short memories. And, Saturday night, there's some really good things we can take away from that. But at the end of the day, didn't turn out as we had planned or we had hoped. And we got to turn the page and move on to the next week, which we are. And, I got a lot of thoughts and reflections on Saturday night. But, right now, as a program, we're turning the page, getting ready for next week.
Yeah. You're a show boss. Dive in where you want to, because 3-0, you get that lead. Punt, playing keep away in that first quarter. Enoch, I was so glad Enoch got that field goal early on. Obviously, you were too. But where do you think the tide changed? Was it the Connor's touchdown run? Was it something early on? Just you go however you want. What did you think made the difference?
Yeah, I think there's kind of 4 critical plays, I think, in a span of a quarter that shaped the rest of that game. And I'll start with, leading up to that field goal. We had a procedure penalty and a third manageable, right? Then that turned into a busted play. They declined it. I thought the play should have been blown dead. It wasn't blown dead, which, then they wouldn't have that opportunity. But it wasn't blown dead, and that's fine. That kind of stuff happens. And then we kind of made a busted play a worse situation by taking a 5-yard loss. Now, we're lucky it didn't take us out of field goal range. The other flip side of that is, I think we got the right call on the field. It's third and manageable. Worst case scenario, we get the first down, or we get in short. And 4th and 1, we have the opportunity to continue that drive, to continue to work the clock, because we'd found something on that drive, right? We got momentum. Both offenses have gone back and forth through the first quarter. We've put a drive together, got some points out of it, which I'm really grateful for. But that play jumps out at me, that penalty in that moment. We need to be better. The next moment, we're finding rhythm again, in our next drive, and we get a 4th and short, and we get stuffed, and things that just can't happen as we build this program, right? We need to be able to sustain that drive, right? 4th and 1, right? Our expectation is we're going to get that 99.9% of the time, and it was just a guy came free up front, and it's not what anybody wants, but we just got to be mindful of the situation. And so, once again, opportunity to keep the drive going, maybe to put 3 more on the board or even a touchdown heading into half. Instead, that didn't happen, and now here we are at the end of the half, and the next drive later where we got them pinned back, and it's 2nd and long, and I take a timeout, right? The thought process, do we let the half end, or do we maybe force them to punt from deep in their territory? And I chose, hey, let's try to force a punt, right? We played really good defense. And hindsight's 2020, kind of, maybe we should let the half go out, take momentum into half. But we didn't. And then, 3 plays later, they break a long run. So, that play there with the long run attached to, us letting the half continue, and us not capitalizing on other point opportunities. All that happened late in the second quarter. 4 plays there that I think if those 4 plays, if all of them going our way, there's a good chance we go into half 6-0, 10-0, completely different ball game. Mm-hmm. But not the time turned then. The game was never the same. 7-3 at halftime, it just was never the same, never felt the same. And when you're the underdog in that fight, you got to keep that momentum when you get it. So really proud of our team. We came out the gate. We fought hard. They showed a different defense than we prepared for, completely different scheme, right? Which, this program is going to have to get used to that. I'm used to that as an offensive guy, but the players have to get used to that. We finally make the adjustments. We get clean on the adjusted second quarter, start putting drives together. We get the momentum. And if we can keep it, man, I like our chance in the second half. But we didn't. Credit to Houston, right? And reflection on ourselves as we move forward.
Right after the game, I know it's emotional, you told Jason, hey, we've got to be consistent in the trenches.
Yeah.
And the stats, I'll get into some of the positive stats here in a second, but was there anything else that you thought, hey, we got to key on this and do that better? But the flip, what did you like now that it's been a little bit after that the guys really did well in that game?
Well, I think the first thing that jumps out is our fight, especially in a good part of that game, and, no one wants to say this really, out loud, but they're at a Power 4 level now, right? They're 3 years into this, 3 years with whole different resources, and it's changed their platform a little bit, being in the Big 12, right? We went toe-to-toe with the Big 12 team, and it was 21-9 with 4 minutes to go in the game, right? I think, there's a lot to take away from that. There's no moral victories, right? And so I wish we could have finished that job. But I do take away the fight that we had. We went toe-to-toe with a Big 12 team, and I think there's a lot to take away from that.
One of the positives, you got 177 yards rushing. You rushed a lot, but you still got a decent amount of yards against a defense. I know different coordinator, but they're a top 20 rush defense last year. This offense is all about the run, but what did you like about the ground game and anything you'd want to do differently, if anything?
Yeah, well, there's a couple things that I like there, and there's a lot of things you want to do differently. I think the first thing I'll say, jumping out differently, like we gotta quit taking negative losses, right? Through the first 2 games, like we've charted, we got 70 plus yards of negative plays offensively, rushing yards, right? Those come in a couple different ways, maybe a sack here or there, or we take a loss. Those have to quit, right? That we can't live and die like that. And those are big numbers. So you take those numbers away from that game, we're rushing for 220 yards, right? Against a top 20 P4 team. And there's yards left out there. So, what I do like is I thought our guys adjusted as the game went on. Like I said, we saw a completely different scheme than what we really prepped for all week. There was some adjustment, right? Our guys had to adjust. Really, for the first time, Louisiana, we felt we got right. We didn't see anything holistically different than what we thought we'd see. Houston was. And so now you're making those game adjustments really for the first time, like in live fire. And it obviously took us a little longer than I'd like, but when I really reflect, I'm proud of how they made those adjustments. And then even in the second half, you saw us getting momentum, saw us moving the football, and now you got to sustain that and finish those drives. But, we finally saw really flashes of what we think Chase has the capability to do there in the second half. Right, he got loose on one, got called back, but made some other good reads. And I think him getting comfortable is certainly a key in the whole future of what we're doing. He's got to get comfortable in what we're doing.
Let's talk about some other things that stood out to me and maybe some fans. But DeAndre Hardiman had his first carries. I saw him, and as he came back towards the end of camp, I sat up a little bit in my seat, Coach, after that first run. But tell us a little bit about him. And I know you have Byers, the youngster, as well, too, and some other backs we haven't seen. But just getting his first live fire in a game like that, a Houston guy, a legendary high school career, how cool is that for him to break the seal and a lot more games, a lot more yards for Hardiman?
Yeah, it's certainly, I'm sure it was a great feeling for him and his family. And for me, just great to get him now his first touches, get his feet wet. That was our goal. Really, it was our goal. Louisiana, it just didn't happen, right? We're in a tug of war with a Sun Belt favorite, and it just didn't happen. So this week we were purposeful early on. Let's try to get his feet wet, and he went in there, did a fantastic job. Incredibly talented young man. That's no secret to the greater Houston area, and the future's really bright for him. And you mentioned Tyvon. You mentioned our running back room. We have a really nice stable of running backs that we're going to be able to lean on, and that showed up again Saturday.
Another thing you talked with Nate and I before the game, you got to cut down the penalties. You did that. I know the one big one, it was amplified like you elaborated earlier, but how big was that did they play the cleaner game that the stat sheet showed from the penalty side?
On the penalty side, we did.
Like you wanted.
Yeah, we did. And that has to continue to clean up. You always think, we overcame that one, right? It gets called back, long run. We actually score on that drive. Mm-hmm. The other one, we overcame with a field goal, but it may have kept us from getting in the end zone. So, I always look at it that way, right? what is that penalty? How are we overcoming that, or what's it holding us back from? But holistically throughout the game, I'm pleased with how we grew from week 1 to 2. Now the area we didn't was taking care of the football. Right, we lost the turnover battle. Won at week 1, lost it in week 2. And it's a crucial number for us, right? There's things I think every week when we come on the show that we'll be able to point to and say, good Saturday or not good Saturday. And one of those is going to be, how do we handle the football, right? Another one, how do we win the line of scrimmage, or do we win the line of scrimmage? I think those are two incredibly impactful things when you look at a Scott Abell football team.
In the time of possession, I just checked again. I didn't write this down in the notes, but it was 34-35 at Louisiana. Is there a sweet spot where you like that? Obviously, you want it more than not, but
you do want it more than not. It was 36 at Louisiana.
That's right.
Almost 37. Right. I don't get myself really caught up in that.
Okay.
That takes care of itself, right? The number from Louisiana would tell me we sustained drives. We had a lot of good things going on offense in Louisiana. Didn't put the point production out there that I would hope for, but that's coming, right? It was closer this week. We still won the time of possession, but it also tell me we didn't sustain enough drives, right? That we didn't. I think getting to that 35 threshold, anything over 35 would probably tell you pretty good Saturday for the Owls. If those of you taking notes at home, right, a pretty good Saturday for the Owls if we're hitting that 35 mark.
Let's highlight some guys on the defensive side. Ty Morris, career high 15 tackles. Wow, yeah, I've called his name a lot. Tell us not only about his game, but just the things you've seen from him developing in here. He's living up to those expectations. He was your media guy coming into the year and just soft-spoken, but man, does he play with a chip on the shoulder when he gets out there in between the sidelines, doesn't he?
Well, I've been very clear how I feel about Ty.
Yeah.
Incredibly talented guy. We'll see him play on Sunday. That showed up. He was all over the field Saturday. I couldn't be prouder of what he's doing on the field, but also I'm incredibly proud of him leading on that side of the football, right? He is quiet, but he has a leadership presence. You feel him in the huddle, you feel him in the locker room, you feel him walk around the weight room, and that is crucial. We're older on that side of the football, and we're playing really good defense. I'm really proud of that, guys, and because of that, right, that's given us a shot to be successful, and it's certainly helping every phase. His ability to lead on defense is helping everybody in our program. When we talk about our special teams, talk about our offense, his presence makes everybody better. Mm-hmm.
How about Jack Coney's game? Comes to you from Oregon State, so I know he was not necessarily penciled in as the starter, but he got a lot of reps before the year, gets 11 tackles, career high. What have you seen from him, being that guy? Nate and I talked to him after the game. Just, man, obviously a good head on the shoulder for a Rice guy, but big leader back there in the back of the defense.
Well, he is. He's been a great surprise for us. We thought, Jack had a shot. We were excited about getting him here, but you never know until they get here and they work out. But the thing about Jack is, man, he's a guy that has immediately become a fan favorite in our locker room. He got a great personality. Yeah. Guys love him. There's just this natural attraction to him. You can feel that in the presence of our team, and that's a great thing for us. When you bring in a transfer and people immediately flock to him and who he is as a person, and on top of it, he's playing great football for us right now. He really is. Very instinctive. He's a very instinctive football player.
Don't want to leave out the special team side of things because Baketta had a good punting day by the averages for the second straight week. But is he okay? He took that. It was such a weird, bending, contortionist type of angle for the big fella.
He's okay. Yeah, I'm sure he woke up sore than he would on most Sundays, just because he could go weeks without getting touched, right? So he took a shot. We had a breakdown up front that should not happen. Right, they weren't trying to come after it. They weren't trying to block it. And we had a missed assignment that led to that, unfortunately. I do think Alex is a really nice weapon for us. It's really been a nice surprise for us in these first couple of weeks. We've been able to pin people back. We've been able to flip some fields, and we'll continue to utilize his leg as we move forward.
Yeah, another guy that keeps it light. From the times I've talked to him, he's got a good personality in that special teams room.
He does. there's never a dull moment when Alex is around.
Those special teamers are wired a bit different. Let's discuss the rest of the American Conference. Not every game, obviously, breaking down, but it was a big highlight week with Coach Golish going up to the Swamp, and they beat Florida. We'll preview them coming up later on, but even Army had the big win in Little Apple, taking down K-State. The conference is up there toe-to-toe with these power group teams.
Well, we've had such a great start. When you look at some of the wins our conference has gotten, right, through these first couple weeks. And I've been saying it from the get-go, from the day I stepped on campus, that I could not be prouder of where Rice is with the American, and I'm a part of it. And I think we're situated in a great landscape for college football. And I think these first few weeks, and you can look at wins across the board, right, and how the programs have shown up. And we feel part of that, right? Us getting a win at Louisiana, right, Sun Belt favorite, that's huge for our conference, right? And you talk about South Florida, the winning versus Boise, now Florida, right? All that is great for all of us. We all benefit, and Army, and probably no surprise, I know Coach Monken and know him well, and I'm so incredibly happy for him in that win, because, they came off that tough first week, right? And that's college football, right? They have a heartbreak against Charleston State, no one saw that coming, and then they go on the road and beat K-State. What an incredible win for them. That's a huge thing for our league, and I'm happy for Jeff and Coach, and and so as you look around, there are no easy weeks coming, right? I don't think that should surprise anybody. I think the league is as good as it's been and getting better probably day by day, and a lot of talented coaches, a lot of talented players, and man, it's going to be a fun couple months coming up.
Yeah, and I didn't mention that, but we had Tim Pernetti on the broadcast. He was over in Louisiana. I don't know if he got it.
I did not know he was on the bar, but that's great. Yeah, I did see him. Didn't hear all his comments.
You've got other things you were focusing on. It was cool to talk to him. This just occurred to me, but Prairie View A&M coming in, I knew that part, Coach, but Military Appreciation Day coming up. And you talking about Army, it's like, I got to ask him about that. So do you have any military past in your family, or and what's it mean having a great night like we have coming up against Prairie View A&M to honor our great service members? At
first, there's nothing more important we can do than to honor the men and women who serve in our community and for our country. It's always been an important thing for me and programs I'm a part of, no matter where I am. Me personally, my father-in-law served, right, nobody, my grandfather served, but I didn't know him, passed away before I was born, right? But I think about this daily, right? And when we ran out Saturday, what a great moment, right? And I do, before we're done, I want to shout out the crowd, but when we ran out at the end, there's some of the Marine Corps at the end, and I stopped and shook their hands and thanked them, and that's, we all should do that. If we're not taking that opportunity to thank all the men and women that serve our communities, our country, then we're failing them. And so I am incredibly honored that we get the opportunity to say thank you here Saturday night, and looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, speaking of the crowd, I'm so glad you mentioned that, but I read a note, I hope this is official. I'm going on with it, it's going to be official, but about half of the student body, or more than half of it, just above half, was at the game over in the new Nest.
Yes.
What did that mean? Just the whole buzz of it, the bucket crowd, yes, but just having that great student support for you.
Well, I thought it was awesome. We've gotten around to introduce ourselves to the students. Everybody's seen that. I'm grateful for them. I hope they'll keep coming out. And the crowd, as an entire group, loved it. What a great atmosphere Saturday night, right? And that's one of my biggest disappointments, is that we couldn't finish the job for them, right? But know that keep coming back out. This team will only continue to grow and get better. We're young, we're learning, right? We've shown flashes of what we can be, and looking forward to putting it all together. But loved our home atmosphere. Thankful for everyone. I'm thankful for all the people that helped put that on. That's not easy, right? When you get a crowd capacity of 25, 30,000, there's a lot of moving parts, right? I understand we had athletic directors flipping hot dogs in the concession stand because they were overwhelmed, and I heard we maxed out parking capacity. What a great thing for Rice Nation, right? That we can, if we can do it once, we can do it twice, we can do it each and every week, and that's what I hope that this will turn into.
This is controversial, but are you a ketchup on the hot dog guy, or are you all mustard?
No, I'm a ketchup guy.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I'm a ketchup mustard guy.
See, it can be done. I get made fun of for being a
Again, relish is a must.
Okay.
Relish or pickles, I'll just put the pickles on there. We don't have to chop them up because everybody knows relish is chopped pickles.
Yes. Okay. I got you there. I'm with you. Finally, talking about Prairie View A&M, Tremaine Jackson comes in. I was looking more of his bio before coming in. All the success in the world, amazing run at Valdosta State. So you have two first-year coaches going at it. Another local-ish game with them coming just down from Waller County. And you really needing a win. They're coming off the loss against UT Rio Grande Valley in heartbreaking fashion. So another big one coming up against a relatively local team here.
It is, and you know, there's no shortage of talent. You know, that's you know, we have them here, and probably for the first time all year we'll be favored, right? We've been two touchdown underdogs each and every week, and so now how do we handle that, right? That's a whole different beast. It's one thing to go in the underdog. It's one thing to go on the road as an underdog. But now, you know, if you're the favorite team, you got to show up because this is a talented football team. And I'm telling you about Coach Jackson. He is one heck of a ball coach, right? You know, his teams at Valdosta State played incredibly hard. They were fast. They were mean. They got after it. Like I've watched their film, and you know, he has done a tremendous job at all of his stops. And so we got to be ready. We got to be ready Saturday to be at our best, to play at the highest level we can play.
Talk to you then. Thank you, Coach.
Appreciate it. Go Owls.
Appreciate it. Rice Fight. That's Dunlevie Family of Football coach of a Rice Owls, Scott Abell. Stay tuned. Coming up next, from football to football. Coming up next, we have Brian Lee, Rice Owls soccer coach. Coming up next, this is the Rice Unfiltered podcast. Stay tuned. Back on the Rice Unfiltered podcast with a very familiar name around South Maine. It is seventh-year boss man, Brian Lee. How you doing?
Fantastic. Year's off to a good start, so can't be better.
Yeah, we want to talk about everything on the pitch, but in the most recent memory for you, just getting back from that huge road trip at Lamar. I say sarcastically with the amount of miles, but you take that one 2-0. What stood out in that game? I know Leah had the 2 goals, but what went into that? What was the big? What were the big highlights coming out of that?
Well, soccer's a strange game. You know, we go up 2-0 early, and we're really not playing that well. And at halftime, we're able to regroup. And in the second half, we played much better, created way more chances, and happened to not score. So we're happy about the improvements. Going on the road is always tough. Lamar's a traditional Southland Conference power, preseason favorite to win the league. So we thought it was a really good win on the road, and then we move on.
I love your quote after the game, talking about Leah Chansey, more on her in a second, but she's as cool as a cucumber in a bowl of hot sauce.
Well, I like a good music lyric. And I got some friends who send in suggestions, so that was one of them. It's a good one.
Tell me what stands out about her for you to say something like that, because, I mean, for those that didn't know the news coming out, she was named the American Offensive Player of the Week, second straight week. Just how is she such a cool customer?
Yeah, Leah came to us from SMU as a grad transfer, and that's always helpful. She's older, she's mature, and she plays like it. It really transfers to the field. Her hit percentage when she gets a chance on goal is very, very high. Even if she doesn't score, it's a good attempt. So she's going to get her share of goals, and I think she's back to 3 in a row. 3 games in a row she's scored in. So hopefully it keeps going in the AAC.
Yeah, you'll never turn down the offense. 5 goals, 3 assists on the season. Is that the offensive kind of oomph you expected from her?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're a group offensive team. We've had a bunch of different kids score, but Leah's going to lead the line, and last year she scored 9 from attacking midfield. We've actually pushed her up a spot this year to up front, and hopefully the output remains the same, if not a little more.
And you're really good, and you like that, like most coaches like the grad transfers coming in. I know Leah's your only one this year, and you mentioned, hey, I like those. So what stands out about getting those grad transfers, and what appeals to them about coming to South Maine?
Yeah, number one, our grad programs are so good. If we're recruiting, a grad student has a different perspective than an incoming freshman does in terms of choosing the school. They understand a little better that, hey, the soccer program here and the soccer program at A&M really operate the same. You know, some of the rev sports, maybe it's a little different, but in soccer, day to day, it's the exact same. And our kids get the same types of things that a kid can at a Power 4. So they're a little more intelligent with choosing their school. And then for our side of it, we're getting a mature player. We're getting a 22-year-old, not a 17-year-old. And God bless 17-year-olds, but it's the first time they've been to college. At Rice, we do such a good job with orientation. And the regular student body is such a good peer group for them that they can get a little distracted in August in their first full fall on campus. So the grad kids bring a lot of advantages.
You recently got your 350th win against Oklahoma State. That was up. Forgive my ignorance again, but that was here, or was that?
That was here.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Sorry for that. What did that mean to get that? And did you reflect on have you digested that yet?
Not really. I mean, it means I'm old, number one. You don't get 350 wins when you're in your 20s. That's number one. But, to me, I did spend a little time reflecting on a lot of people who had a ton to do with it, who no one would ever know their names. Beyond the All-American kids, the kids who didn't play much but played really big roles in us winning, support staff we've had through the years who really, helped in every way, shape, or form with 350 wins.
Mm-hmm. Is there another milestone win at Rice that meant something similar, or reflecting back, what was another big win of those other 349?
Well, shoot, when we beat West Virginia to go to Sweet 16, that kind of took the cake. And before that, when we beat Furman to win in the first round of the NCAAs. But, there's been a lot. I think when we won our first conference title, that was a big deal. And the way it happened was just exciting. And, the group contributions from the kids. But every game's a little different. I had great satisfaction from Lamar as much in the moment as I did at Oklahoma State.
It's wild. You told me before we started, I said, is it 5th year? And you said 7th. I was like, well, dang sure is. I know you would know that. And if I was doing my right research, I would have remembered that. But reflect on your time here. It seems like it's gone by fast. I know we do 1 or 2 of these every year, but what's this time been like for you as you look back in the previous 6th and now 7th year?
Yeah, it's been fantastic. It's everything I wanted. For me, I went to school at Furman, coached at Furman for a long time, had a great experience at LSU, but I was looking for some sort of combination of the two, where I can have the private school environment and the day-to-day working with this kind of student athlete, but still compete at a national level. And so the fulfillment I get from Rice each day is wonderful. I'm very lucky.
Mm-hmm. Discuss the rest of your staff and how it's not just a one-man army or one-person army. Any new additions or other folks that are helping you out?
Yeah, collectively, I think it's one of the best staffs in the country. I'm really proud that the coaching staff is all female. Jen Puntingham and Bella have now been with us for a few years, and recently we added Jane Campbell. And one of our core tenets in our program is professionalism. And having Jane around consistently with the kids just gives them a wonderful demo of this is what it looks like to be a pro. As a soccer player, but just demonstrating it in any walk of life, it applies. This type of dedication it takes, and this kind of the kind of maturity and work ethic, day to day and stacking days, this is what it looks like. So between the three of them, I'm super blessed. Yeah. They're fantastic.
And Jane was with the Dash for quite a while, playing, correct? And what does that extra professionalism add, if anything?
Yeah, it's just the way she operates. They can think I'm sure they think I'm a blunt head coach, but now they see that's a super blunt pro player who just tells you how it is and still loves you after, and this is just how it is, trying to help you be better. And that aspect is huge.
Mm-hmm. Kirsten Ruff, speaking of keepers, she was just named the American Goalkeeper of the Week. What has her play been like? Obviously doing well with the accolades, but understand transitioning to keeper, to me, more of the soccer novice, that seems like a tough position to transition to, is it?
Oh, it is for sure. Now, she had some experience as a kid, and really she's super athletic, and played goalkeeper in middle school, headed into high school, and I think she just wanted to run more. And goalkeeper doesn't get to run too much. If she's got one thing she doesn't like about it, there's not enough running. But she's really stacked days over the last 18 months since she made the transition. I was texting with her today. You've improved every week. That's all you got to do is keep stacking days, and the work will pay off. And she continues to get better game to game this season.
What's the identity of this year's team? Is that something that forms throughout the year? What would you say now would you see the identity in?
Yeah, I think it forms. I think it's a collective unit, that there's leadership across the board. We've got on-field leaders. We've got kids leading in a great way from the bench. And they're really collectively mindseted.
5-1, so many close ones. Means great coaching, obviously, and great talent, right, all together. Yeah. But what does that do to form the fortitude of the team when you can come through and then one close W begets another one, it seems?
Everything's contagious. And I think soccer is a game where the scoring is usually not going to be that high, so it lends itself to really close games. So the teams that are good at sealing it out, when you get a lead late, can you be mature about how you operate and be intelligent? And I think from a lead, we're very, very good. And then there's just the team chemistry is fantastic.
So 10 different players with a goal, 13 with a point recorded. Is that, by this time of the year, a normal distribution, or like you said earlier, really spreading it out has to make it a lot of weapons?
Oh yeah, and we play more than a normal team would. Right now, we always play more than a normal team would, but right now, AC rules let you travel 22 kids. We've had 23 kids play significant minutes. We've had games where we've had 24 kids contributing on the field, so we're going to go to UAB on Thursday, and we're going to leave a kid or two behind just by the letter of the law and the rules who might play in the game. If we were allowed to bring them. So the competition within the team is that high, and they're very supportive of each other, and it goes back to the group effort of it.
Mm-hmm. Conference opener against UAB, if I recall. How does the conference shake down this year? I know you were picked up towards the top, at the top. What is it like being the hunted?
Well, Memphis is still the hunted. This week they'll be in the top 10 in the country. They've got a draw with the number 2 team, Tennessee, and they beat Vandy, who's maybe number 13 in the country this week. So they're, again, very, very good. So they're the real hunted. We're the right in behind them hunting.
That's what you want it, right?
Yeah, I like it that way. But the conference is really deep in quality. I think we've got 7 teams in top 90 in the RPI that came out today, and the depth of quality of the conference. Every game's going to be tough, and we've told the girls these last couple of road games, we know, if you're going to win something or take a good team and turn it into a great season, it's going to be one on the road.
Yeah. And speaking of the road, leave it to Dimwit me to bring up the one setback, but playing North Carolina, defending champ, my gosh, you don't get that scheduling so often. What does it say for the program to be able to get an opponent like that and play them?
Well, a couple years ago, we decided it was something we want to do. Can we try and play the defending national champs? And if that timing doesn't work out, can we try and play one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the country, and hopefully away, so the kids can have, this is the most difficult experience you can come across. Let's see how we handle it 2-3 weeks into the season, and then whatever we need to work on, we'll go from there.
Tell us about Marina Elizondo. I know she's been an impact player for you this year.
Oh, wonderful story. 5th-year senior who's now working on her accounting grad program. Wonderful kid from a wonderful family, and she's really blossomed this year as a player. She came into this last year. She was probably a bit of a part-timer. Came off the bench some, started some, and she's really grown into a central role in our team. Great leader, fantastic human who the kids follow.
Eileen Alber's also on the offense. I understand she's been very impactful. What's a story or a nugget about her?
Eileen's really good. The girls call her the bulldozer. When you look at her, we have tank tops at practice, and she's she spent some time in the weight room.
Lily Rusher, what separates her, and proud to be on your side?
Leadership. Literally, I started recruiting Lily. She was the captain of the national championship youth team in the highest level league in America, and I walked past a field and I heard this kid before I saw her. And I stopped in and turned and watched, and immediately it was like, we have got to get that kid. And so we're very lucky to get her recruiting wise, but she's one of the best leaders I've ever coached.
You mentioned some of this earlier, how it's such a competitive conference. You're at 40 in the opening RPI. Mm-hmm. Do you like talking about that? Most coaches, I think I know you a little bit well enough, let's talk about it, but it's not going to be a main focus, or the players won't focus too much.
Yeah, we're focused on improvement every day, but we want to live in the real world. And for us, the real world is you qualify for the NCAA tournament based on how your RPI is. It's not how the letter of the law it reads, but that's how the NCAA picks teams. And if you're in the top 60, you got a chance. If you're in the top 60, you got to win over someone else in the top 40, 50, you got a real chance of getting in. So we do want them to be aware, hey, this is why we're playing every day.
So let's get to know Brian Lee. I was fascinated by a lot of this, so I'll remember a lot of this, Coach, when we talked last year at our favorite Mexican food place at the other coaches show when you came on, almost a year ago to the day. But tell us when you first knew, your great playing career, so a little bit about that, and when you kind of knew, hey, I kind of like this coaching thing, some inspirations there. I know you had some powerful influences.
Oh, yeah. I started out, by the time I was 12, 13, I knew I wanted to coach. And I thought I'm 54 years old, there was no college women's soccer at the time. There's a very minor sport, maybe 20 teams playing. And I thought I'd like to be a Division III coach of a men's team and teach during the day, and then I get off school kind of like a souped up high school coach where I get to coach college kids. And D3 it attracted me because I get my kids, you get your kids, we see who wins. And later on I learned that's not exactly the way D3 works. There's still some schools with advantages and academic aid and all those kind of things. But I was very lucky as a kid to play for Steve Highway, who's, ran the Liverpool Academy eventually. He left my club to go lead one of the biggest academies in the world. It was actually the first professional academy for youth players. So I had a really good mentor in him. Fran Reedy was my high school coach, ended up being the AD at St. Leo University, another great mentor. And the way those two operated really made me even more want to be a coach.
And wasn't there some kismet, some happenstance when you got recruited to notice you were young?
Oh, yeah. How did I get my first job?
Yeah.
So I got my first job in the age of gender equity lawsuits. So college women's soccer went from 40 programs in 1990 to 1993, 250.
Wow.
So Furman, I'm coaching the club team because I was poor and needed extra money. And I'm coaching the club team once a week, twice a week during the spring. We play like 3 games, the girls club team while I'm playing. And as I graduate, the school gets sued to add women's soccer. Furman's a nice school, really successful men's program at the time. They interviewed 5 people. 4 of them got better jobs. Alabama, South Carolina, Georgia were 3 of the jobs they took, and I was the last man standing. So I got a courtesy interview in the beginning, but very fortunate to have the opportunity and very fortunate to build a program the way we did at Furman, kind of from the ground up, 1 scholarship a year. It created really good relationships and good feel good from the alumni as well.
So LSU's obviously LSU, the step up from Furman. Or was there a stop in between? Forgive me.
No, it was LSU.
Yeah, okay. And then coming to Rice, what fires you up still to keep going and coaching at a high level? I'm not saying you're old, but
you can say I'm old. I am old.
You're so efficient and so productive, and so you have all that that the players talk about. Like what keeps you going?
I really just love the day-to-day. And to me, I love seeing kids improve. And I love the translation of what we do on the field to the rest of their lives. One of the things I think about Rice athletes, we are so lucky. You're lucky, number one, to be a Rice student. It's fantastic. But we get to go compete in a way a regular Rice student doesn't, within a team environment and against other teams, and we have to gel and work together and things like that. And it's such a unique growth period day to day, for these kids. And I get to, basically I'm like the caddy. I get to just help them out as I can. Hey, try this club.
I know you're tied. You can't talk about all recruits, but how's the recruiting class going, and what would be some big shoes you have to fill for next year?
Yeah, our 26 class, some of the pundits have us in the top 10. So it's the best class we've had, by miles since we've been here. We've recruited well. We've had good players. They'll be young. We'll probably add another couple transfers. We've got room for it at the end. But the 26 freshman class, fantastic. And the 27 one is even better. Women's soccer recruiting moves very fast. We're pretty much done with 2027 and turning our attention to 28s. But we might have back-to-back top 10 classes.
Mm-hmm. So we already know your prominence on the pitch and on the sidelines. But any experience with this old American football? Like, we're in the weight room here for the Owls. Do you have any favorite teams or any experience with the gridiron?
I love wherever I live. So I went to high school in Tampa. I'm a Buccaneers fan. Lived a long time in Louisiana. I love the Saints, and now I love the Texans. And anytime we got a free Sunday and they're at home, we go. It's awesome. I love college football. I love the NFL. The college soccer season really gets going for me once football's on TV. In my spare time. That's when I know, hey, it's really on, and you can't beat it. And I love what Scott's doing here. Our team was able to go to the Louisiana game. We happened to be playing Louisiana the next day, and it was so awesome to see our team, that first drive or second drive where we had the ball for like 10 minutes. That was fantastic. We were just chuckling among ourselves. We really got something.
Do you see the game growing more in America? We always hear these talks. It seemed like when I was growing up, soccer's getting bigger. It seems like there's always this conversation, but you, as such an expert in the field, is the game growing at the expected pace? I know not internationally, but how are you seeing it grow stateside?
Well, the men's side is the big deal. Right now, our national team's struggling a little bit, but our pro league is very, very successful, and the business model on it has worked out fantastic over the last 20, 30 years, and we're starting to produce players for the European clubs, where they'll have to buy them from us. And that's where you see the stability on the men's side. The women's side, we've been the best country in the world producing players for 30 years. It's the rest of the world catching up with us now.
Really?
And they are catching up fast. But that's just a part of the acceptance now of women playing sports across the world. When I was a kid in Scotland, the girls could play rugby with us at PE. They could not play soccer. School rule. So we could tackle them in rugby, but they could not play soccer against them. Yeah, go figure. So it's relatively new still, and the rest of the world keeps growing fast.
Who's your team? Your team soccer-wise?
My team's Liverpool. So I'm a child of the 80s, and Liverpool, we're dominant now, but we were very dominant then as well. So that's my world soccer.
And you would know this with comparison to SEC. I've heard that it takes, you go over there, across the pond, you've got to go to a game.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's compared to like an SEC football game times about 10 or 15. With a little more shenanigans and maybe a drunk tank or two.
It is the exact same. I liken it to, it is going to an LSU football game and being the away, and be careful if you're the away team who wins. You know, you gotta sneak out of town. Don't be screaming, or it's the real deal. But that's the best comparative in the world. European local soccer is the SEC times 10 in every one of the little towns. And instead of, you know, you have got, you say LSU is, 200 miles from Ole Miss, 400 miles from Ole Miss.
Yeah.
There might be a club that is 2 miles down the road, and they're both major clubs with major fan support, yet they're 2 miles apart.
Yeah. You're getting like 15, 20,000. What's the crowd like? Or 10?
Oh, yeah. It goes anything from 20 to 76. I was actually looking at it the other day. The biggest stadiums are about 76, but they're teams that, with relegation promotion, you got some small clubs coming up who seat like 15,000 trying to go beat Man United and their 76,000 fans, or Liverpool and their 74,000 fans.
Hey, thanks for the education. Thank you for being you and putting up with me and my soccer expertise.
No, we love it.
Always appreciate it.
I always enjoy it.
Yeah, thanks. And you can just walk on back home right now. Easy commute right now.
Right. Love Rice Village. Love Rice Village just as much.
Amen to that. We got a couple promos out of there. Brian Lee, good luck the rest of the way. You don't need my luck, but keep doing great things.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
The great Brian Lee. That's another edition of the Rice Unfiltered podcast. Thanks to those behind the scenes. Nick and company, Walter behind the scenes as well. Thanks to Anthony as well. They make us sound smarter than we are. Have a great rest of this one. God bless. Go Owls. Rice fight. We'll talk to you on the next edition of the Rice Unfiltered podcast.